Well, thank you, Wendy. Well, welcome to our presentation about research study that we did on the adaptive organization. Jeanette Bannis-Bruin and I are excited to share with you some of the trends and the practices that we identified in this study. So many organizations either have transitioned or they may be in the process of transitioning to new, and they're hoping better and more effective methods of project management. Many are trying to figure out which method works, and then should they go to a full Agile environment or just stick with a Waterfall or be a hybrid of both. So with our results, they might surprise you and they might help you on your transition for a smoother, make your transition a smoother one. So today, what we want to do is we want to show you what we found out when we asked organizations to tell us what adaptive methods they were using, and more importantly, how these affected their organizational performance. We want you to be able to understand and to share this information with your colleagues to help assist you on if you're taking this adaptive journey.
And as with any new initiative you bring into your organization, it's going to involve change. The amount of change that utilizing adaptive methods creates versus using traditional project methods can be significant. So it's our hope that after you leave this presentation, especially after hearing from two organizations who have started on this journey, you can be more prepared for some of the issues you will encounter and be able to deal with them head on.
Okay, so here's a quick look at the topics we're going to be discussing during today's session. Jeanette's going to cover the nuts and bolts of the study, the demographics, and the methodology. This will help you understand how we arrived at these findings and that we're presenting. She'll also pause to take questions about the methodology before we dive into the findings. We find that's always helpful if people have any questions to understanding. Please feel free to ask at that time. Then I'll cover the challenges that were reported by study participants, as well as some of the best practices we identified. We'll look at how high-performing organizations differ from the average organization in the study, including the role they assign to the PMO. I'll introduce some PMO leaders who will share some of their challenges and successes via clips from interviews conducted with them.
Okay, so a few quick data points about who responded to the study. As you can see from this slide, a wide variety of industries are represented, with professional services, finance, and insurance in the top two spots. Then manufacturing had a strong showing. This is really interesting because manufacturing organizations actually had very weak results on almost all the survey measures. And yet you can see that the interest is very strong on this topic in that industry sector. That tells me that change is afoot for people in manufacturing. And one of our interviews that Debbie conducted is with a PMO leader in a manufacturing organization. Healthcare, government, IT, and education organizations are pretty evenly split. It's interesting that two of these are primarily not-for-profit, public administration and education. Many healthcare organizations are also not-for-profit or, like our other interviewee today, mutual companies owned by policyholders. This is a clue that it isn't merely competitive pressure that pushes organizations towards agility. Nonprofit and service organizations are also seeking ways to speed up and slim down their project management. If your organization happens to be in one of the other categories in this study and you'd like to see those specific results, you can email me after this and I can break those out of the raw data for you, no problem. I'd be glad to help. I also just want to say that we have some updated data on a subset of these questions in our 2020 study, The State of Project Management, which is available on our website. On to the next slide. Okay. So all our studies begin with an intensive review of the literature. We look at a wide variety of sources to determine what practices are commonly in use or recommended. In the case of the adaptive organization study, we also utilized 3 subject matter experts, consultants and trainers from within our organization who have deep experience in Agile and adaptive management. For each knowledge area, plus one that we call organizational culture, we proposed a set of practices, asking the study respondents to score themselves on a Likert scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being very capable. At this point in the data collection, we know which practices are most and least used by the study group, but are they best practices? For that, we need to add another layer of inquiry. For that purpose, we add a battery of questions designed to scope out the respondents' overall organizational performance. I should mention at this point that we defined predictive, adaptive, and agile according to the definitions from the PMBOK 6th edition appendix. You can find those on page 666 in Appendix X3 of the PMBOK guide, or also they're summarized in the study's executive summary. Now, as to how we measure performance, to determine which practices are best, we have to know how they impact the organization as a whole. So this separate section of the study asks participants to rate their organizations, not the PMO or their program or department, but the organization as a whole. To rate the organization on how well they realize beneficial results by using these adaptive approaches to project management. They rate themselves on these 12 organizational performance measures on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 equals to no extent and 5 to a very great extent. The measures of performance you see here were organization satisfaction, team satisfaction, customer satisfaction, stakeholder satisfaction, resource allocation, strategic alignment, project benefits, business value, time to market, priority management, quality, and productivity. If you give yourself a score on each of these measures, add it up, divide by 12, and each respondent has a score for their organizational performance. But we aren't done yet. There's more slicing and dicing to come. Then we can sort them as shown here. Those who score in the top 25% we term high performers. This is what tells us what the best practices are. They are, in short, the practices most performed by high-performing organizations. We can compare both overall performance and performance against specific measures on that list of 12 to the average of all companies in the study, as well as to the low performers. And there's always a compelling story to be told by the difference. In fact, looking at low performers, you can also get a sense of what not to do. And I'll talk maybe a little bit more about that later.
Okay, so you may ask, why did we choose to do this research? Why did we pick this research topic? Well, obviously, adaptive project management, it's been on everybody's mind, especially since the PMBOK came out featuring a whole focus on Agile and adaptive PM. Also, we're all in the pace of change that we're under. It seemed to me like...
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.